This is George Rothwell again, part two of my story about the swagger stick. The invention of the internet, 1994, I was the first one on board, I think. I got me a computer and I started doing some research on this stick. I had to find out some more information about it. It was interesting. I looked around and here was General Palmer at the end of the war chasing after President Davis. That was his command. That's what he was supposed to do. While he was doing this, he captured two generals, General Braxton Bragg, and also General Wheeler. So here these two found each other. And General Wheeler was actually presented to Palmer. And Palmer says, I relieved him of all his weaponry and horse. So I think this was part of it. I'm sure that was part of it. And I started looking a little further to see if Palmer at the end of the war was in St. Louis. Sure enough, he was. He was working for the railroad company, and he was the treasurer's secretary of the Kansas Railroad at the time. So here he was for 3 years. He was working that way. After that, he went to Colorado Springs, and some of you may know he founded Colorado Springs, made a fortune in the railroad business. But I think while he was in St. Louis, he had this little piece of history, a little token of the war, and he had it inscribed. So that's part two of it. The rest of it is a little more interesting. How did Palmer get this swagger stick to Yountville, California? Was there any of his troops that may have gotten this as a present from him? So I started digging in some books, obscure books, books about the 15th Pennsylvania Cavalry and their reunions. And their reunions took place every year in Philadelphia, and one year they actually took place in Colorado Springs itself. What was interesting was Palmer was in bad shape at that time, but wanted to see his old troops once again. So in 1907, he invited all his troops to his house, his big mansion in Colorado Springs. And I believe it was at this time he gave away some things. And I believe he gave this away to a fellow named George Butcher, because I found Butcher in Yountville living at the Veterans Home at that time. He was also at that reunion in Colorado Springs. So I believe this is the transfer that took place. I have no way of proving it, but the coincidence is just too much. Butcher was there. Butcher was at Colorado Springs. He was in Yountville and at Colorado Springs. So that's part two of it. Part three is coming up.